Eternal Edge is a hack-and-slash action-adventure RPG featuring Cross, a disgraced immortal warrior who must resurrect his comatose wife from her slumber, so together they can face the dreaded Skeleton King. You know, hero stuff. The story is appropriately dramatic, fantastical, and heavy with romance, but whoever wrote the opening dialogue really needed to better parse their text. That said, it is refreshing to see a game which is an actual straightforward fantasy piece instead of a messy metacontextual parody. It's difficult to label Eternal Edge's gameplay under a singular genre, but its inspirations and design are nonetheless clear as day. It's a pseudo-open-world adventure title in the vein of Zelda, with a similar combat system, but it also features pronounced action RPG elements to better encourage exploration and long-term player investment. And hey, it's actually pretty good at all this stuff. Even in the tutorial area, I was allowed to explore freely and swiftly found all kinds of crafting items, new weaponry, and simple puzzles. There's a real weight to exploring thanks to the RPG mechanics and crafting system. I know that probably sounds like a no-brainer, right? That's why these systems exist in games at all. But if it works, it works. Picking up redundant items never feels like a waste since you can use them to reinforce existing weaponry, and practically every alcove and cranny has at least one minor chest to grab, or sometimes a major one with a full-on experience boost and character upgrade. That is to say, it's rewarding just to wander around. But exploring is only half the equation, and so far, the combat more than pulls its own weight, too. It's heavy and satisfying, with thumping sound effects, visceral hit sparks, and deliberate frame drops which really drive home critical blows or last-second parries. As someone who's a huge fan of beat-em-ups, I was surprised by how much player skill played a factor in the outcome of a fight. Careful dodges, enemy corralling, and swift strategic strikes are just as important as what gear I've got on. It's a rather lovely balance, and I adore the unexpected risk-reward depth that naturally arises from the shield mechanics. To add the snugly sweet finishing touches, the music is incredibly, bombastically flowery in all the right ways. The assets are perfectly placed to make the world feel natural and expansive, and even the sound design is evocative of classic inspiration. In a lot of ways, Eternal Edge seems like a real winner, but it does fall apart a bit in the details. There was at least one instance where enemies just disappeared in the middle of an intense combat encounter, and that time I fell clean through the world. Also, that incredibly blatant invisible barrier which forcefully broke my immersion. Even ignoring those egregious graphical and technical faults though, sometimes the game mechanics just flat out break in strange ways. For example, sometimes if you accept a quest too quickly, it will register as a refusal, and you have to start the dialogue again. Utterly bizarre. Now, in spite of these issues, I did absolutely want to continue playing. I found the world and mechanics compelling, and especially enjoyed the game's earnest nature. But all of this does unfortunately raise questions about oversaturation in our medium, and how people measure the value of artistic works. Is it enough that Eternal Edge is passionately made and has serviceable, engaging game design when there are also hundreds of other adventure ARPGs out there, with prettier graphics, more hours of content, and all that? Personally, I think it's better to play games like this than their higher budget contemporaries, but there's no doubt many folks will see Eternal Edge as an inferior alternative to other games. I'm still glad it was made.